paternity court got canceled after this.
You are the father. Oh, Jesus. Oh, hold on. I told you.
Okay, get up.
This daughter here was on a long journey to find her long-lost father, but she had little to no help in this regard. Miss Cherry brought the defendant to court in the hopes of getting some answers. However, the guy here was certainly not going to make it easy for her.
Miss Cherry, you claim this is the only man you've ever been told is your dad. Mr. Johnson, you admit that you've never believed you are her father, but you say you understand why today's results are so important for both of you. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson did seem sympathetic to the troubled life of the plaintiff, but he had solid reasons to believe he was not the father that Miss Cherry had been on the hunt for. The plot thickened, and we were here for it.
I do not believe that I am her father because of things that were told to me over the years. It was told to me that I was her father, and then there was a member of the family who came later on and told me that they found out that I was not the father.
Let's dive back into the events that took place way back in 1985. So, the defendant did indeed meet the defendant's mother. Yep, and he remembered her. So far, so good. The crack was how these guys met.
Jennifer's mother sent someone from the neighborhood with notes saying that she wanted to sleep with me and she was in love with me. At this time, I had a few beers, and I can't blame that on the alcohol. Needless to say, we ended up having that one encounter that one night.
You would think that this would be just one night of drunken fun and nothing more. Well, that was certainly not the case. Oh yes, Miss Cherry's mother lost something special that night, along with gaining something else.
Mr. Johnson, do you believe Miss Cherry's mother was a virgin? Is that what you were told? Was that your understanding?
At the time we slept together, I did believe that she wasn't a virgin because of the events that took place after the fact.
Did you use protection?
No, I did not.
The work was done. Now it was time for the consequences. Yep, these kinds of fun always have drastic consequences, especially when caution is thrown to the wind. According to Mr. Johnson, he did get to know about the pregnancy, but not through conventional manners.
People in the neighborhood just were coming up to me and telling me, "Congratulations on your daughter," and I was saying, "I'm having a son."
So then did you get wind of the fact that they were talking about Miss Cherry's mother?
Yes, because the person in the neighborhood told me that it was Dee Dee, in fact, that was pregnant with my child.
2 women got pregnant by the defendant. Moreover, the timeline was eerily overlapping. Now that has got to be confusing on all levels. Mr. Johnson had been a naughty boy, having fun with his girlfriend and Miss Cherry's mother on the side as well.
I went to the hospital to visit my son who had been born, and when I got to the hospital, someone had said, "Are you here to see your daughter?"
So again, you're getting this same feedback, like you have a daughter.
This case was getting interesting by the minute. Now, the defendant believed he wasn't the father. He did get chummy with Dee Dee, but according to him, it bore no consequences. And yet, the other party's family believed he was the father dearest.
Who told you you weren't the father at that time?
Someone in Jennifer's family that was threatening me to step up as her father for months. And all of a sudden, he came back to me and said to me, "We found out who the real father is. You are not the father," and I apologize.
Man, oh man, this was turning out to be a whirlpool of emotions and twists. Mr. Johnson adopted honesty as the best policy and claimed he didn't have enough money for a DNA test. And that led Miss Cherry to ask follow-up questions. She was not letting him off the hook that easy.
I feel like if you wanted to know, you could have found out at that moment, because previously to that, the courts was trying to do a DNA test and you never showed up.
Do you remember signing over your parental rights, Mr. Johnson?
I have never signed a birth certificate. I have never signed any documents pertaining to Jennifer other than child support.
Alleged baby daddy evaded being the father of Miss Cherry at every opportunity. He claimed to have closure, and yet his actions say otherwise. Who better to question the guy's resolve than our very own Judge Lake?
You were basically saying, I can't deal with this, so I'm just not gonna show up, and whatever happens, happens. I mean, what is the real truth?
The real truth is what you just said, probably, Your Honor. It probably really is the truth. I was young, dumb, and didn't step up for my responsibility.
Moving on, the plaintiff donned her Sherlock hat and went Googling on the internet. Through Ancestry.com, she came across some cousins who then led her to the defendant. Now that she had the name, all that was left was to contact him.
Hello, how are you doing? You've grown into a very lovely young lady. Although I did not think I was your father, seeing your picture now brings me to believe you very well may be. When you got that response, what were you thinking?
I started crying.
Even though Mr. Johnson believed he wasn't the one who fathered Miss Cherry, he signed up for child support. That was interesting and had a lot to unpack. Either this guy was in denial or truly had a good heart. Sadly, this did not affect the alleged daughter, though.
I knew there was a child out there in need and that probably needs someone someday to say that they care.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I don't believe he ever cared because I still was adopted. Both of my parents signed their rights over, both of them.
The text exchange these guys shared had another interesting message, and that message confused the heck out of Miss Cherry. This guy had been persistent about his claim, but his actions and now this text exchange contradicted everything.
Mr. Johnson says, I'm so sorry you had to grow up without a father, and I'm willing to do DNA for you, but I believe 99% you are. I've always waited for you to contact me.
That was actually after I seen the pictures.
And you've been waiting for her to contact you.
Miss Cherry has had a long, hard journey, and the people certainly didn't make it easier for her. The drama has gone on long enough now. Let's roll out the results and put Miss Cherry out of her misery.
Mr. Johnson, you are not the father. I'm so sorry. I was hoping to get closure for you today, Miss Cherry.
It's okay.
You are so deserving and worthy.
Marriage was at stake. Miss Carmen was desperate to prove to her husband that he fathered baby Ronasia. However, the defendant claimed otherwise and was pretty confident the results would be in his favor.
Miss Carmen, you open your case today in hopes of saving your 18-year marriage. You testify your husband denies he fathered your 4-year-old daughter, Ronasia.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Carmen, you say when the DNA results reveal that you are not Ronasia's father, your marriage is over.
While the wife was fighting for their marriage of 18 years, wow, that's a long time. The husband was having none of it. Nope, he seemed to love opening his testimony with metaphors like it wasn't a case proceeding, but your everyday literary class.
How can I put it? It's like, the ends of the bread getting hard. The ends around the bread getting crunchy.
Ain't no need for it to be crunchy.
It's drying up.
Ain't no need
You know
for
what
it
I'm
to be
saying?
crunchy.
And it's really that pretty face right there.
Which is
That pretty face
yes,
right there.
Yes, that's your face.
And I've been right there the whole time.
Once shining and booming love turned stale. The million-dollar question was what led them to this point? According to the plaintiff, these guys separated for a while. Wait till you hear what led them to separation.
Because I couldn't get the car, I kind of took it out on him. And so we were arguing back and forth, and we decided that he was gonna leave.
Because of a rent-a-car?
Yes, because of a rental-car, Your Honor.
So obviously there were some other things going on because you don't get separated because of a rent-a-car.
As it turned out, whether the wife enjoyed their time apart or not, the husband most definitely did. Oh yeah, he had a blast during that time when he turned an apartment into a party hub of fun. Wow.
He went and rented an apartment.
I went and got my own.
Turned it into a boom boom room. I had to pay somebody $100 to go into the home to see what was going on, and it was party central.
And so a boom boom room is what, a party house?
It's a party house.
With women?
With women.
I guess 27 years of being together had the potential to do that to people. These guys took time off, but did not do that amicably. Nuh-uh. It seemed Mr. Carmen rented a boom room because his wife ended up doing something interesting with all his stuff.
Throw all my stuff out on the front yard a woman ago. I went and got my own place.
So you said she threw you out, or you went and got your own place?
I came home, she called me, I'm around the corner park talking to my partner. She called, you know what? Tasmanian devil. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wait a minute, what you talking about? So I come back to the house, yard sale.
Oh.
What the?
Oh, this is fascinating. After the husband got a secret apartment, the wife wasn't gonna let him off the hook that easily, no matter the separation. Oh yeah, she took some help and went investigating what was going on around that place. And she was in for surprises.
His family member?
Yes, came and picked me up and told me, she said, you must know what's going on over there. So we were staking out. We were actually staking out for a while before we came to the conclusion that I needed to send somebody up in there.
And so you would see the people coming in and out?
Yes.
So you decided I'm gonna pay somebody $100?
I did.
Man, these guys were toxic as heck. The concept of taking the high road was lost on them. They both were vengeful. When the husband found out about the wife's shenanigans, bam! He was back at the house. This whole scenario got swept under the rug. But then, a doctor's appointment revealed a surprise.
When did you start feeling doubtful?
Oh, well, can I approach the board?
Please, you brought an exhibit? I'd like to see what you brought.
All right, well, we're gonna start off right here. A year and a half ago, bam, this is what took place first. Thanks for being a stepdad.
Wait a minute, what is that? That's a phone.
Text messages.
According to Miss Carmen, that cheating fiasco was a one-time thing, and she was pretty confident about that. The mystery man, on the other hand, tried contacting her through Facebook, but he shut him down and stood her ground. But then she took an axe to her foot.
This mystery man and his family after you reconciled with your wife?
Well, when she turned 4, then all the throwing stuff in my face, kept throwing the dude in my face, talking about, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna do that, and he gonna send me some money and all this type of stuff.
Once that ship sailed, there was no coming back from it. Nope. Baby mama was still adamant that Ronasia was his daughter. And when one is desperate enough, they take desperate measures. That was what she did when she started pinpointing the similar features they both shared.
Them ears are so small on both of them. All of the kids got them ears are so little.
They work though.
He can hear, yeah, they work. They work. You know why they work? Yeah, he right, because he can hear Nat pee. He can hear Nat pee, you're right.
It was time to see whether this marriage stood a chance or not. The results were surely gonna determine that. Miss Carmen had a lot at stake, and that was evident in the emotions swirling on her face. Let's get right to it.
Mr. Carmen, you are the father. Oh, Jesus. Oh, hold on. Oh, Lord. I told you.
Okay, get up, come on, get up.
A wedding was due, the couple was excited about the wedding festivities, and then BAM! The defendant canceled his wedding. Oh no! It looked like their destination changed from the church to the paternity court rather swiftly.
Miss Todd, you were suing your former fiance, Mr. Foster, to prove he fathered your 4-month-old daughter, Selena.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Foster, you say Miss Todd admitted that she cheated on you during the window of conception, so the baby's not yours.
Yes.
Time to shed light on the day this doubt train took off from the station. Miss Todd went out with her guy friend, which was nothing out of the ordinary. But she came back home the next morning, and so the suspicions began.
She says, I want to go hang out with a friend of mine, and it's a guy.
Yes.
But you say I'm not insecure, so okay. And then what happened?
The next day, Miss Todd came back.
She came home the next day?
Yes.
Okay.
I normally don't go through her phone at all, but her phone just kept on buzzing, and it was a text message.
Well, kudos to the plaintiff for coming clean about her extracurricular activities. And by the looks of it, it wasn't a one-time thing with her. Her honesty didn't do her any favors as the ex-fiancé found out something new. Yikes!
So you had sex with this gentleman again, not just this night, another night as well?
Yes, he came and got me from the house, and we went back to his place. It happened again, but we used protection. That's why
You're engaged to Mr. Foster.
No, not at the time he wasn't.
At the time, you just dating.
Yeah, we was boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. He didn't propose to me.
Dear Lord! Baby mama played the poor guy like a fiddle. She testified she wasn't engaged to Mr. Foster, but interestingly, if we were to believe Mr. Foster, these guys were surely engaged. Man, these testimonies sure gave the judge a headache.
Were you or were you not, Miss Todd, engaged when you had your friend come pick you up?
Her birthday is in the summertime, and if I'm not mistaken, it was cold out when the guy came and come
No,
to
it was
come and get
warm
her.
outside when he came. It was warm.
Ron, I ain't never heard this before. They don't know whether or not they were engaged.
This was a chaotic mess from the beginning. Miss Todd did seem like a compulsive liar. Heck, she was gutsy enough to lie in court as well. She was sure that Mr. Foster was her baby daddy. However, Mr. Foster's mother has something interesting to reveal.
I received a phone call from my son stating that Mrs. Todd didn't have a place to stay. Once I made it back home, I sat her down at the table and I asked her, was it a chance that my son was the father? She said that this other guy was the father.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I said it was a possibility that Mr. Foster or the other guy could be the father.
Liar, liar, pants on fire! And Miss Todd's pants were definitely on fire. Miss Foster wasn't finished with her testimony, and the baby mama was already not coming out decent, let alone a good guy out of it. Yeesh!
Family members of hers were calling me, letting me know that this guy was the father. He didn't want to be involved.
So what you felt like your son was just the next best case scenario.
Exactly.
Continue.
I had told my son, I said, if you're gonna be with her, you might as well marry her and get over the fact that the child may not be yours.
The plaintiff was here contesting the claim he wasn't the father, and yet he ended up signing the good old birth certificate. Granted, he did that out of the goodness of his heart, but whether or not he was the biological father, he was the legal one.
Well, you signed the birth certificate, now you might as well marry her.
Yes, because he was advised not to do it.
Oh, you told him don't do that?
Me and a friend of mine, which is an attorney.
You had access to legal counsel and still went on and signed a birth certificate for a child?
Yes, I did.
That you thought was not yours?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Foster wasn't getting off the hook that easily now. The only thing left to do was to tear the envelope open and get to the results. His actions were admirable, though, and I was rooting for him. Here we go.
Mr. Foster, you are her father.
Oh,
I told you so. I told you was her father. I told him he was not there. I told you. She looked just like you.
I'm sorry.
She looked just like you.